Yeah, bruv, the game ain't hard when you got the trump card. It's all rigged and I'm calling more games than Bob Uecker. Changing the outcomes like Duke Nukem to a new future. Win some, lose some, bag some, choose none. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we going to listen to what they say? The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean and Sylvanians. Bloodlines, overtime, dragon descendants. Scripting bread and circus lizards in attendance. Serpent queens, breaking dreams, dragging me down. The underworld royalty is all about how much you can clown. I'm talking about the number 9 too. If you didn't know, well now you do. Numerous fears, what's in the hearse? I am who I am, man with a plan. Where you at with the rebellion? 1 in a million, us against a billionaire reptilians. Look at the word rebellion, spells out the same as the rebel lion. Ain't even trying, ain't living, you're dying. Well done to the skeleton, no time for the rebellion. Strawmen led by spellmen, dialectic Hegelian. Everyone's worked up waiting for the aliens. Problem, reaction, solution, little contribution. The script tells that they cast spells like nuclear fusion. Spreading confusion, lie distribution. Old as hell, ain't even some new shit.
Will the radium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean.
Happy Tuesday. What's up, Rita? Super Ed. Maggie, mic check.
The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean Transylvanians. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we gonna listen to what they say?
Welcome back, ballers. Happy Tuesday, best night of the week. Hope everybody is doing well and had, once again, a very safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you all. I got to say right now, man, it's been a lot to catch up with, I guess, as far as after last night's amazing collaboration. Shout out to everybody that was on that panel. Rambo, yourself, KODI, Tommy, Ani, Donut, Golden Age, who else am I forgetting? Myron, Adam, Daniel, Know Thyself podcast. It was just such an amazing collab last night. And boy, did we go the distance. It was, we went 4.5 hours, something like that. So tons of content that we covered last night. And hopefully you guys can respect and understand that, to do back-to-back nights like this sometimes is a little much. But at the end of the day, this is still the best night of the week. Very excited to reconnect with Rambo once again. Rambo, my friend, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Betty says last night was bomb.com. It sure was. Maggie says I have no idea what time I fell asleep. Yeah. It was just crazy to see how many people were still in the chat, still viewing as we were going late into the night. So if you guys missed out on last night's stream, I'm telling you, you guys got half a day's worth of content to get you through your workday. If you're looking for something to listen to, definitely worth every second. With that, I'll kind of get ahead of ourselves here, and I'll most likely drop the link to the StreamYard into the chat in a little bit. After Rambo and I kind of do our thing. Would love to see you guys if anybody isn't, too shy to want to jump in and ask any questions, share any observations about what's going on in the world. So without further ado, let's dive right in. My name's AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find all of my work here on YouTube, where we're streaming tonight, as well as on Instagram. Once again, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. Feel free to send me an email at any point. I do have 11 books that I've written, most of them mini short story type content to help, educate people about just things that I've seen over the years. So feel free to hit me up. Wordplay Book, 3 O's in book. And I also have a Patreon. The link is in the description for anybody that's interested in this kind of similar content on a daily basis as far as sports leans and things like that. So give me a shot if you haven't done so already. But Rambo, please let the folks know where they can find you and support you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for putting everything together last night. And again, thanks for everybody who was there to present and for the audience. Much appreciated. But this is where I can be found, my work, patreon.com/thetruthcodes. There's only one tier. It's $5 a month. You have access to the Codebreaker community Discord server as well. And I'm also on Instagram.com/thetruthcodes.
And I know you got a little content for us about what you're going to drop on your Instagram. I think you said tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's an Instagram post. It's actually, I addressed a lot of this on a full decode video, probably a 20-minute video or so. And it had to do with an assassination code that's pretty evident and some similarities with the recent purported assassination attempt of Donald Trump. It ties into several other. It was at the same location as the assassination attempt of Ronald Reagan. That was the Washington, D.C. Hilton. And it also ties into the assassination of Malcolm X as well. So there's a common thread that I see going through many of these assassination incidents in American history. And that's what the post is about.
Well, I'm excited for that. I know the chat is for sure. And for those asking, or curious about where KODI is, he sent me a voice message earlier today. He said there's a good chance he won't be able to make it tonight, but I did still send him the link just in case. Once again, last night was a doozy, and to do back-to-back nights, especially for someone like KODI that's getting up in the wee hours of the morning or very late into the night, I can understand that. So. And shout out to you, Mr. S. Appreciate you. Good to see you as always. Just keep an eye out, you guys, for the link in the chat. I'll drop that in a little bit. But I did the one thing I wasn't able to share or didn't share on last night's stream because there was so much content. I did want to share this, and I believe I showed this to you offline, Rambo. But I thought this was very interesting that Kyle Thomas Bush, his full name, just so happens to have a super match across the 4 base ciphers of Gematria as they released the reason, or what would you call it? Yeah, the reasoning for Kyle Bush's death, what he died from, and they wanted to emphasize it was severe pneumonia.
Cause of death.
Cause of death. Yeah. Sorry. And I just thought that was very fitting, especially with last night's stream as we talked a lot and you kicked things off about, just the asphyxiation rituals of George Floyd and, pneumonia. Obviously, one of the biggest things you deal with pneumonia is a breathing issue. So I just wanted to share that with you, especially from the numerical alignments here with the numbers. Let me pass things off to you, Rambo. I know you got some good stuff for us, so I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Am I sharing my screen now?
Yep. Yeah, you're good to go.
I gave some context to this. So this is, now this is very organic. I had no idea. I just made the video, and it came out to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I didn't plan it, but you'll see how 3:30 is part of this video. It's 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and I did not plan it. I'm only noticing it now. Well, you'll see why. And a lot of this has been happening. These call it organic, whatever. I'm quite astonished to see this 3:30. You'll see why. And you'll see it's Malcolm X and his assassination. I gave some context as to the gist. This is going to be an Instagram post I'll put up tomorrow on Instagram.
The anniversary of the birth of Malcolm X, civil rights activist and political leader, occurred on May 19th. Malcolm X would die by assassination. Current United States President Donald Trump has had 3 assassination attempts with uncanny parallels with Malcolm X. The latest purported assassination attempt was on April 25th, 2026 at the Washington, D.C. Hilton Hotel Ballroom. Malcolm X was assassinated at a ballroom, New York City's Audubon Ballroom. Trump's first purported assassination attempt was on July 13th, 2024 at Butler, Pennsylvania. Remember that name, Butler? It was Thomas who's said to have attempted to assassinate Donald Trump in Butler. Thomas Matthew Crooks. 3 people were originally convicted for killing Malcolm X: Thomas Hagen and Thomas 15X Johnson. Cole Thomas Allen, would-be assassin of Donald Trump, on the 3rd attempt on April 25th, 2026 at the Washington, D.C. Hilton Ballroom. The other convicted Malcolm X Audubon Ballroom assassin was Norman 3X Butler. Donald Trump's Scottish grandfather was named Malcolm. Malcolm X also had a Scottish grandfather. The symbol on the Scottish flag is a saltire, most popularly recognized as an X. For a broader assassination pattern, the purported assassination attempt on Donald Trump on April 25th was at the Washington, D.C. Hilton Hotel, the same location of the assassination attempt of U.S. President Ronald Reagan in 1981 on March 30th, a date written 3:30. Malcolm X was pronounced dead at 3:30. Donald Trump said, "I am Batman." Batman being a Yale University graduate in official DC Comics canon, as was actress Jodie Foster, whom John Hinckley Jr., who shot Ronald Reagan, stalked on the Yale University campus. Another Yale alum was George H.W. Bush, who would have become U.S. president had Ronald Reagan died. Batman first appeared in 1939 on March 30th, 3:30, and Batman has the famous Butler. Ronald Reagan returned to the White House on April 11th, 1981. The attempted assassin at the same location, the D.C. Hilton, in 2026, Cole Thomas Allen, was born 14 years later to the day on April 11th. The difference here is that Reagan survived the assassination attempt. Trump and his entourage cracked jokes about it afterwards. Malcolm X ended up dead.
Yeah,
So for first thing, Rambo, I was really curious. Like, would you mind going back to kind of the very beginning? You zoomed in on the ballroom, like it was the hospital.
no, that's the Washington D.C. Hilton.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it looked like a hospital, but it, yeah, where you pointed out just ballroom. There was a number I saw there. Yeah, does that say 1919?
1901 is.
Oh,
This is
1901.
this is
Okay.
on Connecticut Avenue in Washington, D.C. And Connecticut Avenue is significant because that's where Yale University is in Connecticut. Yale University.
Oh, no, sorry, Rambo. I'm talking about, it says Hilton, Washington, and then it says 1919 Connecticut.
Oh, up there. Oh, 1919 Connecticut. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, 19's the 8th prime, right?
okay,
So
yeah,
in
yeah.
a way, it's almost like 8, like Trump equals 88. So that
Oh,
was
okay,
like
yeah.
the first thing that kind of stood out to me with this particular screenshot that you were sharing. I just
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to.
Yeah, I didn't see that 1919. I'm looking at the big 1901.
Mhm.
I guess that's something else in the vicinity, a different address. But yeah, I see. Yeah, the 1919. Yeah, it makes me think of. It's completely unconnected. But when I see 1919, I think of shoeless Joe Jackson and the White Sox. But 1919, it is actually related to assassination because 1 plus 9 is 10, so 1919 can actually be a 1010. John Wilkes Booth entered Ford's Theater at 10:10 p.m. when that's when he shot Abraham Lincoln. So there's another assassination at 10:10. That was Gabby Giffords, who was Arizona congresswoman, when she was at a supermarket at a rally
in Tucson.
Yeah, she was shot at 10:10.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It makes me.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the 10:10 you covered with Erica Kirk last year when the whole Charlie Kirk stuff was going off, and that music video she was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but that tied into John Wilkes Booth assassinating Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theater, because in that video she's also the whole video featured a Ford truck, a red Ford truck. So Ford was central to that because alludes to Ford's Theater, and 10:10 is related to Ford's Theater because that's the time at which John Wilkes Booth entered Ford's Theater. And then she zip lines past a 10:10 neon sign, but that ties into the assassination code. And of course, Charlie Kirk would end up being assassination. So it seems to be a broader. Also, you could look in the context of the U.S. president being incapacitated. The vice president, George Bush Sr., would have become president at this location when Ronald Reagan was shot. And the vice president, Kamala Harris, was acting president. I think was it 2023, I think it was. She was acting president when Joe Biden was incapacitated for some surgery. That was at 10:10 a.m. So Kamala Harris became acting president at 10:10 a.m. That was on November 19th in 2023. So, 10:10. Yeah, it was at 10:10 a.m. It's not assassination, but it's related because it's the president incapacitated and the vice president becoming acting president. So it kind of is related. So, so that's actually a good observation on the 1919.
I honestly that's what I saw first. I didn't even catch the 1901 at the bottom with Hepburn. I just thought I was like, it's kind of like 8-8 when you look at it from a primes perspective. And also, if you add 19 plus 19, you get 38, which is a big murder number as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah. That's a good. But those are the synchronicities. Both assassinated in ballrooms, and Malcolm X had a Scottish grandfather, as did Donald Trump, on 3:30. Malcolm X was pronounced dead at 3:30, and on March 30th is when Ronald Reagan was shot at this location. And it's related to Batman, Connecticut, Yale. Batman went to Yale, and George Bush Sr. went to Yale. He would have become president, and Batman first being published on that date, March 30th, to 3:30, which is, it's in numerology, 3:30 is 33. So it's a calling card for whoever did the assassinations on Malcolm X. He was with the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam are funded by Freemasons, and he left the Nation of Islam to become a real Muslim. And they didn't like that. He didn't last more than a year when he left the Nation of Islam, and they left their calling card as to who did it. That's what the 3:30 was, and I did not plan this decode. It's kind of interesting how it just came out to 3:30 on its own. There's a lot of that's been happening. Used to happen from time to time, happens all the time now. It just came out to 3:30 and I didn't plan it. Amazing.
But I'm sorry, I didn't want to catch you off your flow, but that 1919 really stood out to me at the very beginning. Mr. S says, Rambo, the pilgrimage is happening now. It connects to New York and the Mecca. And
that's a good observation. Yes.
Yeah. Okno or OK No Decodes also mentioned that Revelation 19:19 is about alien invasion. I haven't read the verse, but really? It's the 339th verse of Revelation. And it makes me wonder with kind of like how you're tying in these crazy connections with Malcolm X, Ronald Reagan, and Trump. I'm pretty sure it was last week. I told you, when we streamed, we not this week obviously, but last week I believe we streamed on Malcolm X Day. It was Malcolm X's birthday, and for me, it just makes me think of like Twitter changing to X, and then you've done a lot of work on the upcoming eclipse next year, which is an eclipse is an X, right? And then I just thought it was interesting the timing here, because now after all these years or decades later, now Netflix or Peacock is now rolling out kind of a new version or kind of a reboot, if you will, of Malcolm in the Middle, right? And an eclipse is literally like the middle of the X. And they just so happen to be bringing out this show, Malcolm in the Middle, after all these years later. I thought maybe there could be something about that too.
Yeah, so the X is the path of the eclipse. That it's just two separate eclipses over the United States whose paths cross. So there's an eclipse in one direction, diagonal, and then there's another eclipse whose path was diagonal as well. So it's two separate. So you wouldn't say an eclipse is an X in general. It's just two separate eclipses, their paths formed.
I'm talking like when they show the paths, though, right?
Yeah,
and how like when it comes together and how they cross, it's like an intersection, right? It's but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rosie Chica saying the black cube. I think Mr. X said that. Mr. S said that as well.
Yeah, but also in the arrest photographs of what's his name? Cole Thomas Allen. The carpet has a cube pattern. Right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, we're talking when he got like pinned to the ground and he was like kissing the black cube on the carpet.
I mean, it's abstract. Okay, it's not a still picture, but it's abstract, but it's a it is a cube pattern, which for a lot of people it brought to mind the Shining. So you see the cubes. Yeah, these are cubes. So it's like he's kissing the cube. So that ties in.
Yeah, Mr. S also pointed out that oh man, what's his name? Frankie Muniz. He is Malcolm in the Middle. And Mr. S, correct me if I'm honest here, but didn't because he said that the actor who plays Malcolm was also a race car driver. If you're thinking about that Disney Channel original movie, or he's an actual race car driver.
Yes, yeah, he is.
Frankie Muniz.
He is, yeah. He actually looks like he really reminds me of Sean Payton, head coach of the
Saints.
Of the Saints, yeah. Yeah, he's a certified.
That I didn't know. I know he was in a Disney Channel original movie where he played like a boxcar racer or something.
Don't you think he looks like Sean Payton?
You know what? He kind of does. Put some headphones on him.
But yeah, he's a race car driver. The Chariot.
Well, that's wild, right? Because we know that Kyle Busch's middle name is Thomas as well. So
yeah.
Francisco James. You can't get away from that James connection.
Yeah, so I have some other decoding. Building off what I guess a lot of what I said last night was based on the George Floyd. It was the anniversary. It was May 25th anniversary of the George Floyd incident.
Yep.
And so that it was based on primarily. Well, that's for my presentation anyway. And I ended up with, I thought this was a perfect tie-in synchronicity. It was one of the hot topics right now. I guess for a lot of people, it's difficult for them to really grasp it as a hot topic, but it is very important topic. It's that of extraterrestrials, which I've been talking about for a while because I knew it would become a major topic. Like for several years, I've known that it was going to become a topic. And so the movie Alien ties these two things together because it's a current hot topic. Well, not the hot topic. There are many hot topics. They're throwing everything at us right now. What is that May 25th release date back in 1979? So since we were commemorating May 25th, this is a perfect tie-in to what's going on right now. Like these are two disparate topics, seemingly, but everything seems connected, even when they don't have nothing to do with each other. You look into all the details, and it's a web, and they're all connected to the same web. And it seems like no matter how disassociated two separate topics are, there's some kind of connection if you really dig into it. Sometimes it's a bit of a stretch, but here we are with aliens. I can't make it up. This is the main topic. I guess mostly United States, but it's going to be worldwide. And this date, May 25th, which was it's most known as the asphyxiation, the death date of George Floyd. So, yeah, we talked about that on the show yesterday. And this is the graphic that I left with. The egg. I think, yeah, we talked donut at it. The egg is very significant symbol, esoteric symbol. Humpty Dumpty, I said. Humpty Dumpty is a sun symbol. The reason Humpty Dumpty is a sun symbol is because of the yellow yolk, which is symbolic of the sun. So yeah, that's and George Floyd is all about the cycle symbol. So the most important and significant symbol of all esoteric symbols. There's the twin pillars. There's the single eye. There's all sorts of numbers, 33, but it's the cycle. Is, in my opinion, at the center of the web, the esoteric web.
It's interesting you say that, Rambo, because, you know, as I'm thinking more about the World Cup and soccer or football, you have the bicycle kick, right? That's a very famous, popular, very difficult way to score a goal, right? So you got to think that there's some things there. But I just Googled this really quick, especially with this really heavy alien themes going on. It's getting my... You know, it's getting my brain, my gears turning here as far as like what teams or what kind of alien connections could there have been in history of soccer. And I was just curious, have you heard of this 1954 UFO incident called Fiorentina?
No, I haven't. I'm very interested to find out. I've never heard of that. I know the team Fiorentina. I know about them.
Okay,
from,
yeah,
Florence, but I didn't know about the UFO incident.
Okay, yeah, I mean, this was just a really quick Google search, and I thought there might be some tribute coming down the pike with this, you know, come the World Cup. Would love to pick your brain on this. Let me get the screen up here. So Fiorentina, 1954 UFO incident. During a match between Italian clubs Fiorentina and, how would you pronounce that, Rambo?
Okay, not that I speak Italian, but Pistoiese. Yeah.
10,000 spectators and the players witnessed unidentified flying objects hovering over the stadium. The game had to be stopped as egg-shaped objects were seen in the sky and a silvery web-like substance rained down onto the pitch.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's the field.
Yeah, that's in English. They call a field a pitch. Did you just look this up, or did you know about this?
No, I did not know about this. I was just thinking, like, okay, we're talking soccer, World Cup, you know, eggs, Humpty Dumpty, aliens, all these things, and like literally, it was all I did was type in, do any soccer teams have connection to aliens? And this is the first thing that came up.
That's pretty amazing. I didn't know about this. But we're talking about the 54s a lot, right? With car number 54 and Kyle Busch and his connection to aliens.
Yes. Yep.
This ties right in.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
This is an amazing find. Yeah, it ties right into Kyle Busch and car number 54.
Yep,
This
that was
all
a big.
about
It's a big part of Myron's part of his presentation. Let's see if we can. Okay, so this was back on October 27th, 1954. Over 10,000 fans. UFO over Tuscany. The mystery of Italy's 1954 UFO. I mean, it was such a big deal. It stopped the game.
I'm surprised I've never heard of this. Why this isn't more publicized in the middle of a game? This is a great find. Doesn't this make you think? Because all this coding they've done, that this is going to happen at the World Cup. I mean, come on. If this happened at the World Cup, then you've got to take credit. AJ called it. This is probably what they're going to do at the World Cup. I would not be shocked. That's what this might be coding.
You know, they've been doing a lot more, at least like out in the Austin area. They've been doing a lot more like drone shows where like they get hundreds or thousands of drones up in the air and like create images and whatnot. So like it wouldn't surprise me like they do something, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't shock me too much. But
I mean, if something like this has already happened, I mean, I'm surprised I've never heard of this. How it hasn't been more publicized in the middle of an entire soccer game in broad daylight. That's pretty, and it's the egg shaped. That's pretty amazing.
I know, right? Yeah, that was the first thing. Like, I don't know if it's AI listening to our conversation and they just threw it into that explanation, but suddenly play came to a standstill as the eyes of the players and crowd turned towards the sky, where formations of strange silvery objects move silently above the Artemio Franchi Stadium. And I mean, great point out about the 54, because that was a huge part of what Myron talked about last night with Kyle Busch being abducted by aliens and the 54 car and all that kind of stuff. That's wow.
Yeah, this is an amazing find.
Obviously a lot more to unpack here. But yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure I threw that out there because I was like, am I reading this right?
Okay, well, I would not be shocked if they pull something like this off at the World Cup. I would not be shocked. And if there's a date for that, my guess would be the 22nd of June, because it's 226. Someone had asked me, like, coming into 226, what's going to be a big story? I said the UFO thing is going to be big in 2026 because in the reverse, the reverse ordinal cipher, reverse symbol, chariots of fire sums to 226. And chariots of fire is from a biblical narrative that appears to refer to aerial vehicles. And it's Elijah who's taken up in a whirlwind by a chariot of fire. And his servant Elisha sees multiple chariots of fire. But it's Elijah actually gets taken up and he's never seen again, which sounds like he's being beamed up. That's exactly what it's describing. But if you were exposed to advanced technology at that time, you wouldn't have the vocabulary to describe it. You can't say aerial craft or anti-gravity or jet propulsion. You don't have that vocabulary, or a beam, teleportation. They didn't have that vocabulary. So what you'd say, oh, he's taken up in a whirlwind by a chariot of fire, is how you'd say it. So chariots of fire is very relevant to the UFO thing. And again, so 226 is chariots of fire in the reverse simple cipher of Gematria, which also ties into Department of War, which is the U.S. governmental agency that it has been tasked with revealing they're doing this these hearings and revelations of UFO files. It's being done by the Department of War. Department of War, which is a new name, hasn't always been called that. It used to be called Department of Defense all these years. Is 226. It actually has a double matchup. Department of War and Chariots of Fire, it's 226 and 82 in the reverse Pythagorean cipher. 82 is significant because it's in the year 82 that ET was released. So 2026, and so this is just, I'm just throwing out there from what the numbers I'm seeing. If they pull off, this is quite astonishing find. If they are going to try to pull off something like this, 226 is would fit as a date to do it, 22nd of June. I can think of one significant match that will be occurring on the 22nd of June at the World Cup, 226, and that is Austria versus Argentina. Why is that significant? Because Adolf Hitler was born in Austria, and most likely, very credibly, there are multiple witnesses. There's no concrete proof that he committed suicide, as is the official story. The University of Connecticut, this is a university study, analyzed what had always been accepted as Adolf Hitler's skull with a gunshot wound to the temple. A university study, not a conspiracy site, the University of Connecticut analyzed, I'm not sure, that was in 2009. I'm not sure why it took till 2009 to analyze the skull. They said it belonged to a woman, most likely in her 30s. That was not Adolf Hitler's skull. And multiple witnesses saw him in saw him in Argentina, which is most likely where he went after the war in a U-boat. Those German U-boats could do a round trip from Germany to Argentina without refueling. So as homage, it's not the first homage to Nazis. They did it at Trump's inauguration when Elon Musk did a full-on Nazi salute to the world. So this is not a stretch. It's not conspiracy. That's them. Elon Musk did it. He did the Nazi salute. And here's more homage to Nazis, as putting Austria and Argentina in the same group, and they will play each other on the 26th of June. Now, Nazis do have their connections to UFOs. It's alleged, purported, that the Nazis were able to down some UFO craft. And they crashed in the Black Forest in Germany. And they retrieved the craft from the Black Forest in Germany and were able to back engineer it to some degree and create some pretty advanced technology as a result of back engineering the downed craft in the Black Forest. So Nazis do have connections to UFOs. Plus, they did things like trying to do telepathic communications with extraterrestrial civilizations, things like remote viewing of extraterrestrial civilizations, locations, planets. They took that very seriously. And so, yeah, they are, Nazis are very connected to UFOs. And of course, it's the Nazis who came over to the United States and were pretty much instrumental in founding NASA. And NASA's in the news right now. NASA's connected to this as well. In fact, one of they call them tranches, the first tranche of UFO releases, UFO file releases. They're very unremarkable for the most part. And I guess people are waiting for more significant releases. I mean, I'm very skeptical but you never know. You never know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't want to be all gloom and doom. Maybe could something concrete come out of this? For me, it's hard to believe that the Pentagon, the United States, would actually want to do something to benefit humanity. Now, maybe they would. I don't know. But so far, it's an infinitesimal amount of files that have been released, but it's a start and it's a good gesture. And there was a second batch of releases. But in the Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. I don't know who that is, but thanks. But so the most significant thing of the, for the most part, insignificant releases is the fact that they're releasing anything is significant. So this is this is why this is so significant, is because the existence of intelligent non-human life has always been considered the belief of conspiracy theorists and people with active imaginations, overactive imaginations, if not people who are actually insane. That's how they've portrayed it. Or people who just are gullible, but not based on fact and rational thinking. That's basically the purview of conspiracy theorists. That's always been the case as per the mainstream authority, namely the government of the United States and its media, the mainstream media. It has always been considered the realm of conspiracy theorists to say that intelligent non-human life exists. So what's very unique about this, regardless of what they put out, hopefully they put out files of more substance, but regardless, this is the first time that I can think of where the official source, this is the government of the United States, the official authority is saying that conspiracy theorists were right all along. And that alone is significant because they've never said that. I'm waiting for 9/11. If this is a trend, hopefully it continues. But it's never happened. They've never conceded that conspiracy theorists were right all along, which then you have to remove theorist from the whole narrative. It's not theory anymore. Now we just want to know the facts. They're admitting it now. Okay, so they were right all along. Because for decades and decades and decades and decades, the United States government said, we don't have them, we don't have them. Even though Ronald Reagan talked about an alien invasion, it's kind of conflicting. So on one hand, you have Ronald Reagan at the United Nations giving a speech about an alien invasion, how the world needs to come together and unite under one government. But at the same time, the United States government is convincing people that extraterrestrial life doesn't exist. So it's kind of, they're not on the same boat. If you want to do an alien invasion to bring the world together, it seems like all these decades you should have been spending your energy convincing people that they do exist, but they did the opposite. Because now when you want to fake an alien invasion, nobody believes in UFOs because of the authority, because the authority said so. So it's strange. So these things, nothing's really clear cut, but it does remain. I mean, this is a topic that even as a child, I was really into the UFO thing when I was young. I was always drawn to it, but I never conceived that the United States government would admit to it. So what they've admitted to is the fact that they have craft and they have bodies, some dead and some alive, and it remains to be seen what they do. This is a hot topic. Another reason why this is an important topic, like why should I be into this, is because if they have these craft, they've most likely, and many witnesses under oath they've been having for the last 2 years, testimony in Congress, which nobody pays attention to because it's about UFOs and it's just not credible to them. But there have been testimony under oath by multiple parties, and there are a lot more witnesses who are prepared to testify. Almost unanimously, most people in the know say that the U.S. government, not only the U.S. government, actually has back engineered the technology, and they have anti-gravity technology. The overwhelming majority of UFO sightings, quote unquote UFO sightings, are actually what they're seeing is craft which has been made by United States entities, not just the United States government, but there's also a private corporate entities that have created these craft as well. So it's not just United States government, it's also private entities who are not beholden, since they're not part of the government, they're not beholden to anyone. They don't feel any obligation to follow any chain of command, and they're actually better funded than the government is, and they also use taxpayers' dollars as well. So what you're seeing are craft from the United States government and private corporations who have back engineered these craft. And you could say, well, maybe they didn't back engineer them from extraterrestrial craft. Maybe that's just a technological advancement that they've made where humans have just discovered anti-gravity on their own. Either way, that has to come out. That has to come out in the files, because what that will mean is, regardless if they're extraterrestrial life or not, the fact that you have anti-gravity technology, that tells you that Artemis 2 that's a 1968 primitive show that they put on. Think of how a telephone has advanced since the 60s. In the 60s, I mean, people old enough remember what it was like to make an international phone call in the 50s. You had the dial. You had to press you had to dial numbers with the rotary phone. And if you wanted to make an international call or just long distance across the United States, you had to call an operator, and the operator would connect you. And then the person on the other end would get a call from the operator saying so-and-so wants to connect. And it was a really big deal to make a long distance call to hear someone's voice, but they were super expensive. That was telephones in the 60s. A telephone in 2026 is a supercomputer. If a telephone can advance to that degree, don't you think that the smartest people in the room, rocket scientists, would have advanced at least at the same level, if not more, when it comes to rockets? But instead, a rocket in 2026 is the same as it was in the 60s. Is that credible? No, it isn't.
Yeah.
A rocket in 2026 has anti-gravitational capabilities, which means all this gas prices that we're concerned about, we should not be concerned about, because the energy industry as it exists, it should not exist. If this technology comes out, were to come out to the public, the energy industry would lose thousands and thousands of trillions. It will become obsolete, pretty much, of dollars. It would lose thousands and thousands of trillions. Because if this comes out, then we're like, hey, wait a minute. So what's this with the gas prices and these wars over oil and resources? When you actually have technology that renders all this obsolete, the world will be much more peaceful. I mean, that's why this is an important issue. UFOs is an important issue because they do have anti-gravitational. It's free energy. So Nikola Tesla, he had some discoveries on it. But there's a downside to everything. That energy is so powerful that it can be used to create weapons. These weapons that they can make with this technology, which does exist, is multiple. Talking about thousands and thousands upon thousands, more times more powerful than the most powerful bombs that exist. You can literally do what happened in Star Wars, vaporize an entire planet. You literally can. That literally is the power of that energy if you weaponize it. So we talk about secrecy, and we're against secrecy and revealing. Some things have to remain secret. But as long as that does exist, do you really trust the people? I mean, it's getting out there. So I'm really not sure where we go as far as that energy is concerned. But these are some of the reasons why the alien issue is actually an important topic. And I understand if people want to wait for some concrete evidence, because so far there haven't been some definitive concrete evidence. There's been testimony by reliable people under oath. But now people want to see concrete evidence. Otherwise, they're not concerned. And I actually don't blame anyone for taking that approach. So with the symbolism, now we have the alien in the National Basketball Association. I don't know if they're going to give him the title, if he's going to win it, but he's actually This is his breakout year, the alien, Victor Wembanyama. So, yeah, that was a great find that you did with the Fiorentina.
Yeah, honestly, I got lucky with that one. Especially, I mean, it was just amazing with what you touched on with the egg and the 54s and the UFO and soccer were on the doorstep of the World Cup. Wow. Wow. I was just playing around with some date durations. I did notice that, and keep me honest here, Rambo, the World Cup starts on your birthday, June 11th, right? That's when it starts?
On June 11th, yes. The World Cup starts on June 11th, yes, in Mexico City.
Okay. That's kind of interesting. Mexico reminds me of like Roswell, New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
You know, with the alien connection there. But that would be a span of 139 days from the anniversary of this UFO sighting, which I thought was interesting just because in the Capitol's added cipher, UFOs equals 139. And of course, it also equals that 201 in satanic. But you got your 139 there. And then you got your 139 right here from the start of the World Cup to the anniversary of this UFO sighting on October 27th. That's also the founding date of Philadelphia, for what it's worth. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
Now, the original Philadelphia was in Jordan, Amman, Jordan, the capital of Jordan. This is the 23rd World Cup. I've talked about how Jordan qualified for the first World Cup. So yeah, the original Philadelphia was Amman, Jordan. So there actually is a sphere. I think it is found in Colombia, in a small remote town. I think it's called Buga in Colombia. It's a sphere that clearly is not from Earth. This is the first, I think, really concrete evidence to the public. Well, it's in Mexico right now. They took it from Colombia to Mexico, and it's being analyzed in Mexico. And so far, they're saying, and they're allowed multiple parties to look at this sphere, and it's in Mexico, and they've concluded it is not from Earth. It was hovering in Colombia. It was just gliding and hovering, and then it landed on the ground, and somebody picked it up, which I don't think that's a great idea. If I see something extraterrestrial, you don't know what kind of radiation might be coming off it or something. But it's in Mexico right now being analyzed. So Mexico's part of this. Yeah, there's a lot to this alien thing. If anyone wants to, I understand people saying, "I'm going to wait till I get concrete."
I mean, I thought it was interesting too, and I don't know if this was intentional on your end, but you were talking about the phone, right, and energy and dial-up and all that, and it makes me think of E.T. Phone Home. That was like his big thing about phone home and the finger, and it makes me think about when you talk about energy. You know, have you ever like rub your feet on the carpet and like, you know what I mean? There's that like energy exchange that's there, and E.T.'s finger is like glowing just like his heart, and like there's that whole positive energy and the connections with aliens and humanity and the phone for whatever reason. I just thought that was interesting how you brought that up.
I didn't think of the ET connection, but the reason I thought of the telephone, because the telephone is something, I think when it comes to advancement, I think that's the best example, especially for older people my age and older, who can remember using a dial-up phone and calling an operator, so the operator could connect you to someone else, collect calls, all that stuff. I mean, Generation Z, that's foreign to them. How could you live like that? If you explain it was a big deal when you got an international call. You couldn't believe you're hearing someone's voice. It was a huge deal, but it was super expensive, so you had to keep the call short. That's why I use telephones. I think it's a prime example of technological advancement. You went from that to a literal supercomputer. That's the best example. That's why I use the telephone. But yeah, it does tie into ET, but also ties into MK Ultra, mind control. A telephone is a major metaphor for MK Ultra, mind control, and they actually do it in a lot of these. It's even in the movie E.T. It does have MK Ultra, which in Hollywood everything seems to be MK Ultra. Roseanne Arnold, she gave testimony that she says MK Ultra rules in Hollywood. Roseanne Arnold said that, and she was on Larry King, CNN, where she said talk about MK Ultra, which is another set of. It's interestingly. MK Ultra files are being released as well. I can't keep track of this, they're also releasing MK Ultra files. I have to give Donald Trump credit, at least for that. I just give credit where credit's due. Donald Trump actually did authorize, by executive order, the release of MK Ultra mind control files by the CIA, because they did Project MK Ultra. And the CIA intervened by seizing a lot of the files so that they could not be released. So there's a big crisis now in the government. I mean, there's so much stuff to follow. The CIA has actually seized files that the President of the United States, by executive order, ordered to be released to the public. But the CIA is preventing them from being released, which is an act of insubordination. It's hard to follow all the stuff that's going on. The CIA is insubordinate towards Donald Trump. It's also issues like this, the mainstream media is afraid to touch. It's about MK Ultra. And a lot of media members are MK Ultra monarchs. They are. I mean, we've seen a lot of pretty clear evidence. So this is an interesting time. This is the age of Aquarius. It's an age of revelation. Apocalypse means revelation. This is just a natural occurrence. And you're seeing the old world order. They call it the new world order. What they're really trying to do is keep the old world order in place, but they're calling it the new world order. It's really the old world order that doesn't want to accept the apocalypse, which is a time of revelation. So there's a lot of conflict you can't even, but MK Ultra is part of it too. Phone home. So the phone is a metaphor. If you call someone, it's like trying to interact with them with their personality. And if they're not home, it means it's an alter ego, an alter personality that you're interacting with. So the metaphor is that they're not home. Lady Gaga had a song called Telephone. It's about MK Ultra. It's about this metaphor. Charles Bronson did a movie called Telephone. It's spelled with an F, not PH. That was about MK Ultra. Let me look that up. It's a Charles Bronson movie, Telephone. In 1977, yeah, Charles Bronson. They'll do anything to stop telephone. This is about MK Ultra. And see the shattering here? Shattered glass these are multiple personalities. That's the symbolism that they use. So the fragments, they say their person's mind is fragmented into other personalities. So if one of their fragmented alter egos is operative when you're interacting with them, the metaphor is that they're not home. And that was Lady Gaga's song Telephone as well, was about this. So ET Phone Home also has MK Ultra implications. But right, so the alien theme in the May 25th, I just thought they came in perfectly, since it was on May 25th. We're commemorating basically the date, May 25th, yesterday. And this happened to be a major topic, alien. But I have some other connections to the alien theme. So the movie Alien was released. It had multiple release dates. It was released May 25th in the United States, but that was just a limited viewing. It wasn't in all the theaters. It was actually released to all the theaters on this very significant date, the date I've been talking about, June 22nd, 226. This confirms how significant 226 is to this alien issue, which I've been saying. It's 2026, 226. Alien was actually released to theaters across the United States on 226. And that's Chariots of Fire, Gematria. Here it is in the reverse ordinal, Chariots of Fire, which Chariots of Fire is a reference to UFOs. So not a coincidence that Alien, the movie Alien, is released to theaters on 226, 26 June. This confirms it. That's what Chariots of Fire. And the whole chariot image, the car is a chariot, the aircraft is a chariot. So that's where Kyle Busch ties in, because he's a race car driver. He's a charioteer. The race car is a chariot. And then he's tied into UFOs as well. It's all about the chariot symbol as well, which is very big now, always has been. And it's 2026. So it's a big year for that. 2026 is the year of the World Cup. And we have the GOAT. The GOAT, the greatest of all time in soccer, is Lionel Messi. And this is the last dance for Lionel Messi. This will be his last World Cup. He's with Argentina. He's not at the peak of his powers anymore, but now he plays in the MLS, Major League Soccer, United States, because he's no longer in his prime. But he's still considered the GOAT. But there's another challenger to his GOAT moniker, which is Cristiano Ronaldo. But there's a new GOAT, future GOAT, and they've planned this ahead of time somehow. How they planned it, I don't know. Not a household name yet to people who are not into soccer, but his name is Lamine Yamal, and he plays for Spain, and he's a very interesting person with a very interesting background. This is an Adidas ad campaign. Adidas sponsors Lionel Messi, or Lionel Messi endorses Adidas, and they also endorse the future GOAT, and that is Lamine Yamal. He also wears, and they refer to him as the kid, because the kid is a baby GOAT. And he's done things so far, he's 18 years old right now. And he's whether he becomes a GOAT in the future or not, what he has achieved up to age 18, he is the best teenage player of all time. Lionel Messi, as a teenager, did not achieve what he has achieved. Pele did not achieve as a teenager what Lamine Yamal has achieved. Diego Maradona, these are all people in the GOAT conversation. Pele of Brazil, Diego Maradona, Argentina. At his age, he's 18, they did not accomplish anywhere near. I mean, Pele came close. He did some things at a young age. He was in a World Cup as a teenager. Lamine Yamal has eclipsed him. It's also what he's achieved at club level with Barcelona. He is the greatest teenage soccer player of all time, without a doubt. Whether he'll become the next, whether his trajectory will continue to progress remains to be seen. Nonetheless, he's the kid, the future GOAT, and they've done rituals for that, which I can get to later. But I want to talk about this GOAT symbol, and it does tie into the alien thing and the World Cup. The GOAT is a symbol on so many levels, very significant. Well, this is him, Lamine Yamal. This is him playing for Spain. He's wearing the Spanish national colors here, and this is Lionel Messi. Interesting. This is from Wikipedia. How they pictured him with the wings in the background. It's very interesting. They picked that. Interesting. They're both cancers too. Cancer is in the tarot. Cancer is the chariot. This is all about the chariot. I'm seeing a lot of cancers now who come into the fore. His birthday, July 13th. That's the day of the purported assassination attempt of Donald Trump in Butler. So the significance of Butler. And Lionel Messi, June 24th, that's the nativity date of John the Baptist. So that's very significant, his birthday, John the Baptist, which is also the founding date of Freemasonry. Modern English Freemasonry was founded on 24th June because John the Baptist is the patron saint of Freemasonry. In Freemasonry, John the Baptist actually has a higher status than Jesus Christ because John the Baptist baptized Jesus Christ. If you go to a pastor or a minister of any kind to be baptized, they have a higher level in the church than you do. The person being baptized is not the one with status. The one doing the baptizing, they have a direct connection to the Holy Spirit. So if Jesus goes to John the Baptist, who is it who has a direct line to the Holy Spirit? Not Jesus. John the Baptist does. Jesus only receives the Holy Spirit through John the Baptist. He didn't get it directly. So in Freemasonry, that makes John the Baptist actually closer to God, closer to the Holy Spirit. He's the one who had the Holy Spirit. Jesus couldn't get it on his own. He had to go through John the Baptist to get the Holy Spirit. So that's why Freemasonry makes John the Baptist their patron saint.
Makes me think of JB, just the initials JB.
Oh yeah, okay.
And JB Bickerstaff was or still is right now, the head coach of Cleveland, who just lost, right? But who's the Knicks star player? Another JB, Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
So there could be kind of a JB connection here with the John the Baptist alignments that you're bringing up.
Oh yeah, those are great connections. So when I think of JB, I think of the pillars of Freemasonry, Boaz and Jachin, which are attached to Kabbalah, which are labeled B and J. The B is Boaz, is the feminine pillar.
My bad, Mr. S. Yeah, I think Bickerstaff was a coach of Cleveland at one point, but yeah, he was the coach of Detroit this year.
Oh, okay.
Another race car, talk about racing and car racing. I mean, there you go.
Detroit, yeah. And so this is a very significant birthday on so many levels. 24th June, he's a chosen one. And he turns out to be, here's a story. This is true about Lionel Messi. He's very small in stature. And so he grew up mostly in Spain. He was born in Argentina, but he grew up in Spain in the they call it academies in soccer. Soccer is not like American sports. In international soccer, there is no age limit as to when they can start recruiting a person. Some people in international soccer get recruited at 4.5 years old by these top clubs. Barcelona, Arsenal, Liverpool. They'll recruit 4-year-olds. That really is how the world of soccer is. But he wasn't recruited that young, but he was recruited very young. So he grew up mostly in Spain, in Barcelona. They said because he was so small. They chose him ahead of time. I mean, you have to give him credit for being that skillful. I don't know how they do it. They said because of a certain disorder that he had, that he was legally prescribed steroids that normally would be considered illegal. But Lionel Messi was allowed to take the anabolic steroids because they say that he had a medical condition that justified it. So he was pumped with steroids. Now, if you look at him, he's very small. He does not look like anyone who's been anywhere near anabolic steroids. It makes you wonder, how small would he have been if he didn't take the steroids? But this is a true fact about Lionel Messi. But these are the kind of things you get away with when you're born on June 24th. Not that if John the Baptist is a real entity, he wouldn't want to be associated with any of this. Bumping some kid with steroids so you can choose him to be a soccer star so you can gain louche from the masses. John the Baptist would not have been part of any of this. Somebody who has a direct connection to the Holy Spirit would not have wanted to be a part of this. So again, John the Baptist isn't around to speak for himself, but not that I can speak for him, but if he was an actual person, he wouldn't endorse this. He would not endorse it, but it's a powerful name. So the name Lamine, that's the name Lamine Yamal. I just looked at his name. You should take away the M. It has Laine, which is alien. He has the amalgam of alien in his name. Not that proves anything, but it's interesting because this is a big topic. And also, so he used to wear number 19. That used to be his jersey number. You can see here he wears 19. He actually switched to 10. But in the ad, it's Messi. This is Messi's number 10, and the kid, Lamine Yamal, 19, 10-19, which in Gematria is 119. Poseidon is 119. Why is Poseidon important? Poseidon is the Greek, who the Romans called Neptune, but that's not the original archetype. The original archetype of the Neptune, Poseidon deities of the Greco-Roman, that actually goes back to ancient Sumer, and that is Enki. Enki, who's a god of the sea, god of the ocean, god of the waters, is the original archetype of Poseidon, god of the sea, god of the ocean, and Neptune, god of the ocean. It goes back to ancient Sumer for the original archetype. And why is Enki and the original archetypes of Sumer important? Because some people, of course, scholars will mostly reject it, but some people consider the pantheon of ancient Sumer to be referring to aliens, extraterrestrials who came to Earth and intervened in human evolution. So whether you accept that theory or not, it is popular and it is out there. I think the primary personality who promoted the idea of the ancient Sumerian pantheon being extraterrestrials is Zacharias Sitchin, who is rejected by most Sumerologists and Assyriologists because Zacharias Sitchin was not an Assyriologist or a Sumerologist. He was a economist. And in academia, they're very protective about their field. If you specialize in the field of Sumerology and Assyriology, you don't want some economist coming in as dictating and what the history of ancient Sumer is. So it's very contentious, and different people have different opinions on it. Nonetheless, it is a popular opinion. And looking at the coding, they do code some of what, and there are scholars, there are some who do agree, at least in part, to a lot of what Zacharias Sitchin's findings are. The Sumerian tablets have now been translated, and you can actually do this software where they actually will translate to almost every language in the world the ancient Sumerian cuneiform tablets. I think the University of Chicago, Chicago always seems to be the center of these things. I think the University of Chicago has a lot of the cuneiform tablets from ancient Sumer, and they have been translated. So if anyone disagrees with what Zacharias Sitchin has interpreted, well, they can always go back themselves and see what the correction is. So the main mistake that Sitchin made, which is why people reject him off the bat, is his definition of Anunnaki. His translation of Anunnaki, Zacharias Sitchin said it means those who from the heavens to earth came, I think. So you're saying Ki is earth, and I guess Anu means sky, I guess sky beings. So Anunnaki means sky beings coming to earth. And Sumerologists across the board say that is not what Anunnaki means. It means children of Anu. So on that reason alone, a lot of people will disqualify Sitchin. But even though he's wrong about that, you still have to examine everything else he said against what Sumerologists and the tablets actually say. But it is associated with this extraterrestrial theme. And Poseidon is Enki, the god of the waters. And so this is Enki, and this is a depiction of Enki. You can see flowing water and fish. This is the original Neptune. So different people will debate who is the analog of the original archetype, because they won't be exactly the same throughout history. So the Greek version won't be exactly like the Sumerian version of Enki. There will be differences. Ancient Egypt had a version, which, according to some scholars and Zacharias Sitchin, the Egyptian version of Enki is Ptah. Ptah is a creator god. Not every scholar will agree on it. But what do you see? Nonetheless, this is, for the most part, he's a god of the sea, god of the waters with fish. It is pretty accurate to associate him with Neptune. And you can see at his feet. What is this at his feet? It's a goat. So this is according to Wikipedia. They'll say that Kronos is Enki. I can see why they say that, because the goat symbol is Capricorn. Capricorn is a fish goat, which is directly a symbol of Enki. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. For that reason, I can see why some people would say he is Saturn, because he's associated with Capricorn, but he's also associated with Pisces for obvious reasons, because he's Neptune. And Neptune.
It's interesting you say that, Rambo, just because Mr. S mentioned that Enki is also an anagram of Nike, and Nike's got the Nike swoosh, kind of like the ring of Saturn.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, there's that connection. Absolutely. So that's to the Capricorn symbol. The Capricorn symbol is a sea goat, is actually a symbol of Enki. So Enki is he's associated with Capricorn and with Pisces. So in Iraq, this happened in 2016, the Iraqi transportation minister. So this is a mainstream source. It's the government of Iraq, which is installed by the United States. In 2016, this Iraqi transportation minister made some extraordinary claims at a press conference. Iraqi transport minister claims first airport was built 7,000 years ago in Iraq by ancient Sumerians. So this is mainstream. And he actually quoted Zechariah Sitchin. So a lot of people dismiss what he's saying, like how can he use Sitchin as an authority? But nonetheless, this is what's out there. This is what's out there, and this is what's coding, and people can do their, if they take interest in this, can just decide what resonates with them. But nonetheless, this is out there. Iraqi transportation minister said that the first airport was in Iraq. This is a ziggurat that is in Iran and Iraq, which is, and this is the epicenter. This is the Iraqi transportation minister. This is him making the speech. It says video. Iraq's transport minister declares country's new airport. So under the new American installed government, they built a brand new airport in Iraq. Will be built on the site. So it's going to be built on the site. So it's a historical site. Whether or not there were actual extraterrestrials who landed there, it's still an archaeological site. And they've built an airport there. So that airport is very significant. They're gaining a lot of energy in that site, ancient energy. So everything that's happening now is related to the ancient gods. These are the codes of the Matrix. It's the gods of antiquity, which are still influencing events today. I mean, at least the mythology anyway, on a vibrational level. And you can ask how much of the mythology is literal and historical and how much of it is symbolic. Again, you decide what resonates with you, but nonetheless, Iraqi transport minister Kazem Finjan has said that the 7,000-year-old Sumerian airport served for space travel. Finjan suggested that spacecraft launched from the area in 5000 BC discovered Pluto and the mythical planet of Nibiru. That's an extraordinary speech from a transportation minister. And it's Iraq. I mean, that's where Sumer was, Iran and Iraq. So this is a closer look at Enki with the fish and the water. He's god of the waters, and this is the goat. The Enki goat most commonly refers to Enki, also known as EA. Think of EA Sports. I've done decodes on. I've done a couple of decodes on EA Sports, how it's connected to the Sumerian. It's of legend of Enki. He's an architect. An architect of what? The Matrix. And there are actually two architects. So my video was titled The Two Architects. So this is where the ancient Sumerian original archetype really deviates, or you could say the Greco-Roman archetype analogs deviate from the original archetype, because the original archetype is a god of the waters, god of the sea, but also a creator god and a polymath and basically an architect of the Matrix. That's the original archetype, as well as being a water god of the seas. The Greco-Roman versions, Poseidon and Neptune, are not architects. They're just gods of the seas. So they left that out. So these things change over the years. Nonetheless, he was an original architect, Enki. And that is why EA Sports, it's Entertainment Arts is the name of the company, Entertainment Arts, EA. It's about a simulation. It's a computer simulation. That's what video games are. The Sims. EA makes The Sims. Very popular game. What does sim mean? Sim means simulation. The Sims family. They named it Entertainment Arts on purpose because it's EA initials, a reference to Enki, who is an architect. So the architect part, again, is lost on Poseidon and Neptune, but it is the same archetype. It could attach. So a Spanish musician actually in 2003 released a song called, in 2022 released a song called Ea Ea, which actually is homage to Enki, who is Ea. It was in the Eurovision Song Contest, but her name is Blanca Paloma. So they are doing homage to EA. So this is in the news now. This is very important. So multiple scientists and people connected to, usually have a connection to NASA or jet propulsion labs or various nuclear facilities, or people who've just done research on things like anti-gravity, have been being killed or going missing. They're either dying or going missing. And it's actually a big story, because one person after another who's associated with these things is going missing. And this is one who's very significant. She's actually a genius. Her name is Amy Eskridge. Now her initials are AE, which is the reverse of EA. It's AE, but I think it's related. She's one of the highest profile scientists. I think she had a genius IQ. She was 34 years old. I'll read what this says. I think this is from Instagram. Amy Eskridge is a 34-year-old U.S. research scientist, or a 34-year-old research scientist, and president of the Institute for Exotic Science in Huntsville, Alabama, was found dead on June 11th, 2022. A very, very familiar day when it comes to the extraterrestrial field. She was found dead on June 11th, 2022, from a gunshot wound to the head. Exactly 29 days earlier, on May 13th, she sent chilling text messages to close associates warning that her life was in danger. As an independent researcher focused on anti-gravity technology and exotic propulsion systems, Eskridge had publicly discussed plans to disclose information tied to UFOs and advanced aerospace programs. Her death was officially ruled. I guess someone doesn't write. I know you're not allowed to say the word with effects of video, but self-inflicted, with no evidence of foul play at the time. While her case has now resurfaced in April 2026 as potentially the 11th in a cluster of mysterious scientist deaths under federal review. So she was related to this issue in anti-gravity. But what I find interesting is the picture of her. I guess she put this up herself on Instagram. What is she holding? A goat? A kid? So look at how this all ties in. This is a real life person. And this is another thing. So one of the details of this, she was being gang stalked and subjected to energy weapons, which people who they don't like are subjected to. And I have to say this, I'm speaking from Gnosis. I'm subjected to energy weapons, which I have been for a long time, daily, and gang stalking. So I'm speaking from Gnosis. I'm not reading about this. I experienced the same thing. It's not. I like to repeat this line from The Matrix that Morpheus said to Neo when he first met him. No one can tell you what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. So if you want to research this for yourself genuinely and put that energy out to the universe, I want to know the truth, the universe will respond and you will see the Matrix for yourself. But be careful. If you really want to know, the Matrix will show you. So that's called Gnosis. Gnosis is knowledge you get from real life personal experience as opposed to learning it. So that's what Morpheus said. You're going to have to see the Matrix for yourself. So I have testimony to this. I don't know exactly what she's experienced is worse than what I've experienced. She was subjected to energy weapons and gang stalking and death threats. But eventually, they say she died. Now, what's interesting about her death is they cremated her body immediately. That means no one really gets to see the body. So who knows if she's actually dead or where she is. So when you see things like cremations, that means, okay, no one gets to see it. Where's the autopsy? Let's see the body. No one sees the body. They cremated it immediately. Well, you say maybe her her family would stand up for her. Not when your father works for NASA, no, because to be part of NASA, you have to be part of the club. So he has to go along with the official script and say, yes, my daughter offed herself. Yeah, well, he works for NASA, so I don't think he's credible. So, yeah, this is what's going on in the world. But it is interesting, the date they chose. I want to focus more on this symbol. She's holding a goat. I just stumbled on this. I didn't even know there was I know her story, but I never knew that she posed with a picture of a goat. I suspect this is a symbol of Enki. So this old Sumerian, you can call it mythology. You have to ask how much of this is mythology, how much of this is history. It's ongoing right now. The Sumerian War of the Gods is being played out in 2026 in the world. Even if it's just symbolically, even if it's on just that level, it's still being played out. But she's holding the goat. She's holding the kid. Just as the World Cup starts, where they're really promoting the kid. The same symbols, the GOAT. It's a 23rd World Cup. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. His jersey number was 23 famously. And Brazil, for the first time, Air Jordan will be at the World Cup because Brazil has signed with Air Jordan in time for the World Cup. Why was Brazil choose the 23rd World Cup to sign a contract with Air Jordan for the 23rd World Cup? It's about the GOAT, Lionel Messi, the kid, Lamine Yamal, who has alien in his anagram in his name. And then somebody who's investigating extraterrestrial base or technology. Who knows how she came up with this anti-gravity? I mean, is it from back-engineered spacecraft? But nonetheless, she's a big part of this. Her initials are the reverse of Ea, which is Enki. She's AE. Enki's Ea. Enki's a goat, and she poses with a goat. You can't make this up. This is what's going on in 2026.
I was going to say, Rambo, if I could maybe just chime in really quick, listening to your presentation, I wanted to ask you, we talked about that Fiorentina UFO sighting in 1954. But also, speaking of Messi.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across the here, hold on a second. Let me pull it up here. Oh, shoot, I have so many tabs open. Hold on a second, you guys. Did you ever come across this? It looks like Lionel Messi and Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney in a 2013/2014 commercial for Samsung Galaxy 11. They did a commercial where they're saving the planet from aliens.
I saw one where they were playing against clones.
Okay.
But not necessarily aliens. They were clones.
Were they dressed like this? Because this was the other one.
Yeah.
Were they like Men in Black? I mean, that's another connection.
These look like they could be yeah, this might be a different ad.
Okay.
But yeah, that is interesting, yeah. The alien connection, yes.
Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. Once again, obviously, we're kind of talking about the last dance, right? With, I would say, both Lionel Messi and Ronaldo, right? I mean...
Yeah, this is their last dance. They're the two GOATs. They're the two players in the GOAT conversation. And this is also the emergence of the kid, the future GOAT. So, yeah, it would be... There's so many commercials which are similar. I did see one with... it was these players mentioned here, but they were battling clones. So this might be a different one.
Okay, yeah, I think this is the video. We'll just keep it on mute. Yeah, here you go. You got, this almost gives me Independence Day vibes.
That's a great find. This is right up the alley.
Yeah, no kidding. And this was running during the World Cup in 2014. So here we are 12 years later. This is the first time I'm seeing the video. Messi hooded up like Eminem or something, which is kind of funny with the M&Ms we talked about last night.
The chariot is always such a central theme. It has to be a chariot. It's always a chariot. They have to be in a car, just like George Floyd.
And here they are, like in the ring kind of thing.
Yeah, that's Wayne Rooney. He's an avid boxer. He would have been a boxer if he wasn't a soccer player.
Okay. Oh, there you go. See, there's the alien. They just threw a dart at the alien. This is a fairly lengthy commercial. I didn't even realize it's like over 3 minutes. But you know, I've told you about the commercial coming out, which is going to be, you know, similar in length with Ronaldo as well. But yeah, this is all for Samsung Galaxy 11.
There was a player that they flashed there. The black guy. His name is Victor Moses. I just find it interesting he has the name Victor. Just with Victor Wembanyama being the alien.
Oh, yeah.
Moses.
Science fiction has turned to
Yeah,
fact.
good point.
So before this, there's a player. His name is actually Victor Moses is his name. Of course, he's retired by now, but I just find it interesting seeing the commercial that there is someone named Victor in a commercial about aliens. So
yeah, there you go. Right.
Another great find again. His name is Victor Moses. He's Nigerian.
Yeah, I just thought this was fascinating, just with, you know, what you've been talking about with Lionel Messi, and then sure enough, here we go. We got him in a Aliens commercial.
No, this is a great find. So yeah, they've been. It's become a lot more real now with the U.S. government admitting. I mean, they were admitting it in 2013, but they're admitting it now, so it takes on a whole new. Plus, the disclosures coming out. So yeah.
It's almost like these black cars are like, you know, unmarked government agency vehicles where they're like recruiting all the soccer players to come take down the aliens or something. I don't know who most of these people are. I know the big names, but anyways.
No, I still I like to see all the imagery from the commercial. It's very relevant. That's a great find.
Yeah, I can forward you that link. I mean, once again, if you just search Samsung Galaxy 11 World Cup alien commercial, it's out there.
Yeah, Galaxy 11. Here's that number 11 again.
Yep.
Alistair Crowley said 11 was the most powerful number in Magic. According to Crowley, yeah.
Well, it's the master number, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, the World Cup will start on the 11th. So one of the popular designs of a soccer ball is the hexagons and pentagons. Alistair Crowley pointed this out. He said when you combine hexagons and pentagons, you're getting the six-sided object and the five-sided object, and 6 plus 5 is 11. And that's on a soccer ball. It's coded into a soccer ball. So 11 is, I think that has to do with why the sport has cast such a profound spell on the world. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to take you off of your presentation, Rambo. I just wanted to throw that in there. That
was a great find. I actually wanted to watch the whole thing, actually, and look for all the other imagery in it. No, thanks.
Yeah.
It was relevant, yep.
Was there anything else as a part of your presentation? Otherwise, you know,
I was still
going. Here we go.
Yeah, I just because that was relevant to that. I have a lot more. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, perfect. Okay,
I have a lot more. So, yeah, Lamine, alien. He's the kid, the goat, Messi, Jordan. The goat is Enki. Enki is the goat. The goat is a symbol of Enki, Ea, Ea, the original archetype of Neptune and Poseidon, Sumerian god, the goat, god of the waters, Ea. Spain is significant. They do the Ea because that's where Lamine Yamal is from. He's from Spain. And then the scientist who's appears to release a paper on anti-gravity, ends up dead after receiving death threats and gang stalking energy weapons. And she said that she did. And June 11th, which is the day of the release, the anniversary of the release of E.T. in 1982. And she's posed with the goat, which I just came across. I didn't even know this. I heard about her. I never knew she posed with a goat. To me, this does tie into Enki. I think it's a reference to Enki. Whether it's just symbolic or is something literal to it, I don't know. But Enki is the goat, and he's the architect. This is E.T., 1982, released on June 11th. E.T. And so she dies on June 11th, 2022. The World Cup will start on June 11th. So this is Poseidon's symbol is the trident, famously, which is also the symbol of Neptune, the trident. The trident actually comes from ancient Sumer. So the trident was a symbol of the father of Enki, who's Anu. That's where you get Anunnaki. Anunnaki means children of Anu. And some people say Anu is Saturn, but I think Anu is actually Uranus. I actually think that's who Anu is, because in Uranus, his name is there. Ur. Ur is actually a city in Mesopotamia, Ur. That's where Abraham came from. That's actually part of Sumer. Ur, and then Anu, Uranu, Uranus. So I think Uranus is actually Anu. But nonetheless, it was Anu who was the father of Enki, who was Poseidon to the Greeks. He's the one who had the original trident, and he gave it to Enki. He gave the trident to Enki. Enki went to war. There's a war of the gods with his half-brother. The other son of Anu was Enlil, but they had a different mother. So, yeah, literally, Enlil was the brother from another mother of Enki. And they went to war, but they had the same father. But the father, Anu, was on the side of Enki, who's the Poseidon. And Enlil went to war against his brother and his father. So his father was part of the Enki faction. The Enlil faction won the war. And Enlil is a storm god, which is Jupiter. So in this symbol of the World Trade Center, these tridents, this is the World Trade Center. This is what the Twin Towers looked like from ground level. They had tridents in them. All around the towers, there were these tridents built in. And I believe that they were put here with the intention of destroying them. They knew they were going to be destroyed when they put them there. And that was an attack on Enki. This is a continuation of the War of the Gods. It's continuing. Whether it's symbolic or literal, it's a continuation. This is the destruction of Enki, an attack on Enki. And Poseidon, Enki's Poseidon, and Poseidon is, in Gematria, is 119. I think that's pretty straightforward. King Kong did a remake in 1976 of King Kong. He wasn't on the Empire State Building, but he was on the Twin Towers, King Kong. And I think King Kong also represents Enki, but as an insult. So it's another insult to Enki, is why they have, that's what King Kong is. He's an insult to Enki as well. So one of the things Enki is, in legend, is said to have done is he was a geneticist, and that he manipulated primates and upgraded their intelligence with Anunnaki DNA. That's so Zachariah Sitchin he'd endorse that theory. But I find it interesting that the name Enki sounds like the name monkey. Enki and monkey do sound similar. So maybe monkey was It was actually a term that they gave to that species as an insult to Enki. But he's said to have, according to some interpretations, have genetically engineered monkeys. Now, one of the things that primates anyway. One in the congressional hearings into the United States government's UFO, UAP knowledge and evidence, and not just the government, private corporations have, and they don't feel obligated to go testify because it's private. One of the testimonies that's come out very credibly is they've retrieved non-human bodies. They've actually retrieved the bodies of these extraterrestrials. Some of them have been captured alive, and they're in captivity right now, being abused, tortured. And one of the things they've done, allegedly, I don't know if there'll ever be proof on this, is they've created hybrids of humans and some of these captured extraterrestrials. This is the world in 2026. But I think this was the world for a while. It's just coming out in 2026. This has been the world. Extraterrestrial human hybrids are a theory as to what, not a theory, but it has been attested to. It has been testified, and not everybody who's been directly involved in that has testified, but it's one of the things that has come out, which does sound a lot like ancient Sumerian mythology. So this is a 1976, and interesting that 76, the glyph for Capricorn, again, Capricorn uses Enki fish goat for its symbol. The glyph for Capricorn looks like a 76. So it's very interesting that in 1976, they do a remake of King Kong at the World Trade Center, considering that the World Trade Center had tridents, which are symbols of Enki, whose symbol is the fish goat also, which is a symbol, again, of Capricorn. 76 looks like the glyph for Capricorn, and this came out in 76. I think it adds up. I think the King Kong represented Enki, but not in a flattering way, not in a way to honor Enki. They keep hammering away at this Enki character and these Enki archetype. They keep hammering away at it and they keep symbolically attacking it, because the ancient Sumerian War of the Gods has all this, since ancient Sumer to now, has been ongoing. So this is it. King Kong at the World Trade Center by the tridents. This is Enki. Now the tridents are Neptune. Neptune is Enki, the Roman version of Enki. The Hanged Man is Neptune. So the planet Neptune is related to, it represents the Hanged Man, which ties into the George Floyd narrative. So the George Floyd narrative, again, cup fools as water. Again, Enki is a god of the waters. Neptune is a god of the waters. The Hanged Man represents Neptune. So George Floyd was also a Neptune symbol as well. And cup foods, cup suggests water. Cup is a water symbol. This is part of the Sumerian War of the Gods as well. They're still attacking this Enki figure. An activist now the owners of Cup Foods are Palestinian. It's a worldwide network. It's not an American network, no, it's worldwide. They operate the whole world. In fact, by some people's interpretation of ancient mythology, William Bramley's book, The Gods of Eden, if anyone's interested, that's a book, William Bramley, or you can just look him up on YouTube, see some videos of his. He's done a lot of work on this and how the ancient Sumerian legend has influenced today's world and secret societies. And what he theorizes is that, so Enki is also symbolized by a snake. He has a lot of different symbols, a snake. And they say that he was the snake in the Garden of Eden. That's where that legend comes from. Trying to upgrade humans, because the Garden of Eden is a story about humans being upgraded. Well, it didn't start. That's not where that story originated. It originated from an original mythology. And that Enki actually, he created the framework for a global secret society to pretty much run the world. That Enki made the original secret society, and that when he lost the war to Enlil, Enlil took over, which is why they seem mostly negative. They do mostly negative things now. There's still that faction of secret societies that identify with Enki, who they feel is more not perfect. These are just beings, physical beings, not really gods, but more sympathetic to humans, to put it that way, as Enki the snake. There are some factions of secret societies today who look at the Enki symbol, anyway, whether they take it literally or not, as being more sympathetic, acting more in the interest of humans than the Enlil version. And so you'll have that split in the secret societies, the dark ones and the lighter ones. And not all of them will identify with the Sumerian lore, but William Bramley's book, he explains, based on his research, of how the secret societies originated from ancient Sumer and the symbolism of ancient Sumer. And so he talks about the Brotherhood of the Snake, which is a secret society. And that was what he says, that actually was originally created by Enki, whose symbol was a snake. After he lost the War of the Gods, he lost control of the simulation, the computer simulation. He's EA, The Sims, made by EA Sports. AI lost control of his own simulation, and it went into the hands of Enlil, who's the storm god, who's Jupiter. Enlil is a storm god. Enlil is not a architect. He cannot make a simulation, and he's not a geneticist, but he has at his command somebody who is an architect. That's why I talk about the two architects, and that is Kotharu is his name. Not as well a known god from ancient Sumer, Kotharu. This is who the Greeks and Romans referred to as Hephaestus and Vulcan. And there's been a lot of Vulcan symbolism going around. So he's an architect as well. And his symbol is the hammer. It's kind of interesting because Hiram Abiff was killed with a hammer in ancient Sumerian mythology. The hammer is a symbol of Vulcan, Hephaestus, who is Kotharu, who is the right-hand man of Enlil, who can make pretty much who could program a matrix, hypothetically. Enlil doesn't have those skills. Enki has those skills. So this is some of the symbolism anyway, whether you think some of this is literal. This is the symbolism that's used to operate the world today. The water symbolism. Enki, the god of the waters. So Roger Waters, one of the founders of Pink Floyd, George Floyd, Pink Floyd. And he's an activist, a very ardent activist for the Palestinian cause. He's a very pro-Palestinian activist. And of course, that really doesn't further your career if you want to be mainstream. So yeah, he's lost a lot of endorsements and associates because of his stance. But his name is Waters. That's the thing. Roger Waters. Cup Foods is owned by Palestinians, and it's called Cup. They're all part of this. They're all, Palestine is right there in that region where, ancient Sumer was. That's the symbolism. And Floyd, Pink Floyd, and I think of the wall symbolism. What's Pink Floyd best known for? Their biggest hit is the wall. Think of how George Floyd is pictured with the brick wall behind him. which has become a major secret society symbol. So, yeah, I can talk a little more. If you wanna, do you have anything you want to add? If any additions, but there's a lot more. Yeah.
Not necessarily about, cup foods or George Floyd specifically. My mind's been in that space about, we were just talking about Wemby and Victor, looking at that last commercial. And, I just did kind of another quick Google search. We were talking about ET phone home and just kind of the alien connection with the phone, etc. And if you did a quick Google search, you just type in like Wemby telephone. There's a handful of videos out there of where he talks about how to stay in a Zen-like state and to help improve his sleep and all that stuff. He always puts his phone on airplane mode, which I just thought was interesting, just with the sense of, we got New York now in the NBA Finals. 9/11, Jalen Brunson wearing number 11. His father wore number 9 the last time the Knicks were in the NBA Finals. The Spurs with the Twin Tower symbolism and things like that. I just wanted to throw that in there too. Like there is this like subtle tie with Wemby and the telephone, which makes sense.
Yeah, it says
since he's the alien.
Yeah, Victor Wembanyama's relationship with his phone is defined by strict boundaries. To avoid distractions and maintain his laser focus, the San Antonio Spurs star puts his phone on airplane mode by 9 p.m. daily and often deletes social media apps entirely during the NBA season.
Yeah, I just want to throw that in there. I didn't have much else to share other than this is just another perfect cherry on top of what we were just talking about not too long ago with just the alien and the phone connection, right?
I think there's an MK Ultra symbol to this because the phone is I showed earlier, telephone, Charles Bronson, ET phone home. It's about phoning home means calling, trying to interact with somebody, but their primary personality is not operating. It's an MK Ultra personality that you're dealing with. So you're talking to them, but they're not home. Lady Gaga did the song Telephone. I suspect that this might be MK Ultra symbolism. Maybe. I suspect. Telephone is used very often for MK Ultra. But I can complete this. I have more on this. So this is just this is an illustration. This is from ancient Sumer, depicting Enki as a snake. So this serpentine body here, with the human head, is chimera. This is Enki. So Enki is the snake. So he has several symbols. He has a snake, the goat, and think of what is it when normally you think what is associated with a snake, or with a goat, or with a trident. What's associated with those? Positive things? No. Satan. The snake in the Garden of Eden. The trident, a symbol of the devil. The goat, a symbol of Satanism. Why is that? Why does Enki have all his symbols are negatively associated? That's because he lost the war of the gods to his brother Enlil. The eagle has a positive connotation. Enlil is the eagle. When you win a war, you desecrate the symbols of your opponent. The fact that the symbols of Enki, the goat, the snake, and the trident are considered negative and satanic is because that's according to the faction that won, the faction that has prevailed, which is the Enki Enlil faction. They've desecrated those symbols. But like I say with symbols, no symbol has one meaning. They have a positive and negative. And that's what happens when you lose a war. Then your opponent gets to take over your projects and desecrate your symbols. So and this is what's going on. That's what 9/11 was about. Because 9/11 9/11 is it's a number sacred to Nazis. I've talked about 119. Many important things in events in Nazi history happened on 119, November 9th, or 9th November, 9/11. And which goes back to the Temple of Solomon being destroyed on Tisha B'Av, which is 9/11. So it was very much associated with the Nazi Party in 9/11 because they used 9/11. This Holocaust, unofficially, it started Kristallnacht on 9/11, the 9th of November. It's a crucial number to them, which they get from Rome having destroyed the second temple on Tisha B'Av, which is the 9th day of the 11th month. This all has Nazi fingerprints. I talked about how in the World Cup, they're honoring Nazis with Austria and Argentina playing in the same group. Adolf Hitler's birth country against the country where he lived out the rest of his life, very likely. Elon Musk did the Nazi salute, so this is not a stretch. Out in the open for the world to see. At the inauguration of the President of the United States, Nazi salutes were performed out in the open. So this is not a stretch, and it's not a conspiracy theory. They're admitting it, just like they're admitting that UFOs exist now. They're admitting everything now, but that's what apocalypse is. It's revelation, an unveiling. So that's what the War of the Gods is. But that's also being played out in the NBA Western Conference Final between the Thunder. We have an image of the Thunder and the Spurs. The Thunder, that's a symbol of Jupiter, of Enlil, Thunder. He's the thunder god. He's the weather god. This is Jupiter. This is Enlil. Victor Wembanyama is Enki. And I have more on this. I'll do more in depth. There are more connections. It's also to this ancient Sumerian mythology. I think that's also the basis for this. The Hanged Man and the I Can't Breathe, which is, no, it's related to African or Black people specifically. Even though, throughout history, multiple people being hanged. I've shown how Michael J. Fox, they had him being hanged, Marty McFly in Back to the Future 3, which came out on May 25th as well. So yeah, so there are multiple entities involved, but it does seem focused primarily on narrative involving figures like George Floyd, the whole I Can't Breathe, Eric Garner. That's all related, and I think it goes back to this ancient Sumerian narrative. But this Western Conference, it is Enki versus Enlil. And I have more on this. I will have more. I'll do a written text decode on this. But this is the basis for it.
I mean, yeah, just one other final thought. 911, one of the most obvious connects is, it's the emergency dialing code, which the first 911 call was made. I'm trying to remember who it was in the chat, just rattling off the 68s. Yeah, Alex Winters. New York Jets win their only Super Bowl in 68, same year that construction of the World Trade Centers began. Boeing debuted their first jumbo jet, and the first 911 call was made. It's just, for me, I'm thinking of this like Wemby airplane mode 9/11. The Spurs did lose tonight too, so they're down 3-2. We'll see if they come back and do end up facing New York. I know a lot of people really enjoy that matchup or want to see that one.
I mean, it still would fit the narrative, the Enki versus Enlil Sumerian narrative, if the Oklahoma City Thunder, tongue twister there. I said city. City Thunder.
Yeah.
If it's them versus the Knicks, because it's still Jupiter, it's still Enlil. In fact, it might actually make a little bit more sense. Yeah, it's Enlil, and I guess New York, it's the location of 9/11 where the Enki symbol was destroyed.
And there's that kind of terrorism alignment too, right? Between New York, obviously 9/11, but then also the Oklahoma City bombing, and you had the World Trade Center bombing, and for me, just the colors alone, blue and orange versus blue and orange, as we have the Artemis 2 launch where they're all wearing blue and orange. There could be a lot more with that too. But the series isn't over. We'll see.
Yeah, but either way, it almost seems like the Thunder versus Knicks is more of Enki versus Enlil. But if it's the Spurs and Knicks, it looks kind of just Enki. I don't see how the Knicks. I don't see any Jupiter or Zeus symbolism with the Knicks. I don't see that. Not to say that this is exactly what it's all based on. Well, a lot of history is based on this, but it seems like Thunder Knicks actually does fit the Enki. That's if they're even going that. Maybe they're not going this. I'm not suggesting anybody bet on anything I'm saying. I'm just showing what the events of the world are based on these archetypes. They just are. They clearly are. They're based on these archetypes.
I was just thinking too, from a biblical perspective, you were talking about, the snake, right? And, its connections just makes me think of, the Garden of Eden and the forbidden fruit and the apple. And New York is known as the Big Apple.
That's a good connection. But the apple, and also Minneapolis is like the mini apple. It's the small apple.
Oh yeah, there you go.
A shout out to Hickok for that. I don't think he's listening, but he was a big member of the community for a while. Hickok, I got that from him. He's from Minnesota. He said Minneapolis is the mini apple, and New York is the Big Apple. So Big Apple, mini apple.
I like that. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that's the snake. Yeah, well, Hickok came up. He's the only one I know came up with that, so I always give him credit. This is Enki, the snake. This is the Garden of Eden narrative. It didn't start with, I assume it's the Torah where that narrative first emerged. It's based on the ancient cuneiform texts that existed long before. It's the creation mythology of ancient Sumer is what is the basis for the Garden of Eden narrative. And the snake is Enki. That's where it comes from. So this is the original narrative of the Garden of Eden. And stories change over time. And even if you look at the narrative, it makes more sense once I came to an understanding of the original story that it's based on. It made more sense when I saw the Garden of Eden narrative. So the god of the Garden of Eden is Enlil. That's based on the Enlil. And Enki is the snake who communicated with Adam and Eve. So he was not on the same page as Enlil. And Enlil said, keep them as slaves, pretty much an animal status. Just intelligent enough to understand instructions and operate tools. They're like pets, but high-level pets. Like the way humans, like you value dogs. Dogs are treated better than any other animal. They live with humans. People come, they're part of humans' families. They have healthcare plans for your pets. Some cats as well. But so humans in the ancient Sumerian mythology had that status. They had the status of pets. But the way dogs are, they're like the favorite pets. So they have dominion over the other pets. But they were still pets. They were not at the level of the pet owners, who were the quote-unquote gods, who were not really gods, like a spiritual god. And it was Anu who told Enki, who had the skills, you need to upgrade them to our level. Against the wishes of Enlil, who said, no, keep them as pets and slaves who can understand instructions and operate tools. We don't want them creating things and we don't want them like us. But Anu, who's their father, told Enki, no, upgrade them to our level. And that's actually what caused the War of the Gods, actually. That and other things is like, what, you're supposed to keep these? So the term they use for humans in the ancient Sumerian mythology is Lulu Amelu, Lulu M I'll go here. Lulu Amelu. That's a term from that's what they called humans in ancient Sumerian mythology. Lulu Amelu. Lulu Amelu is a term from ancient Sumerian mythology that translates to working man or laborer. So that was the term for humans. That's what humans were. That was the role they're supposed to play. According to these early Mesopotamian creation myths, the gods engineered the first human beings to take over the heavy labor and mining tasks that the gods themselves had grown tired of performing. That's from ancient Sumerian lore. So why didn't they remain as Lulu Amelu? According to their mythology, it's because Enki, on the instructions of their father, upgraded them to the level of the gods. And so Enlil, who was a narcissist and very insecure, these are not gods. Gods aren't narcissistic. So they're describing the Sumerian gods, same as Greco-Roman gods. They're describing physical beings who sound like humans, with all their jealousy and insecurity and all sorts of improprieties. Enki could not control his libido. And Enki, I guess, Sumerian women were, I guess, a little too powerful for him. Enki, although he's the more benevolent one, he took advantage of human females because he couldn't control his libido. That's in the ancient Sumerian mythology. But nonetheless, yeah, they couldn't keep their hands off human women. But Enlil, in that respect, he actually was more disciplined than Enki was. But it's interesting to look at the Sumerian mythology. It definitely does affect what's going on now. But Enlil, who was a narcissist, Enlil is Zeus. Zeus is a narcissist. He's insecure, even though he's king of the gods. He said, "Do not share the lightning with humans." He hoarded the lightning, Zeus. Strictly forbidden to give the lightning to humans. That's why many people think that Prometheus is Enki, because Prometheus took the lightning from Zeus and took one bolt of lightning and gave it to humans, which really angered Zeus because he's afraid of humans. The king of the gods is afraid of humans. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this mythology. The king of the gods is afraid of humans. That's the thing that scares him more than anything else. And all humans want to do is just better themselves. And that's what a narcissist is, who at the deepest unconscious level is really afraid and insecure. And they become violent as a result to protect their perceived. And a lot of them, these are people in high positions of power. Like, if you're that powerful, why are you insecure? But it's deep in their unconscious, and they're not even conscious it's there, and it's pretty much incurable. Narcissistic personality disorder is incurable, and that is the personality disorder is described in Greco-Roman mythology. Most of their gods are like that, especially Zeus, and in ancient Sumerian mythology. Anu, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, kind of a very childlike angle on this too. Just hearing Enki over and over again. You mentioned how Enki does somewhat kind of sound similar to monkey, right? And we talked about King Kong and whatnot. Yeah. But I think of the phrase hanky panky.
That does fit. The reason that fits is because Enki, in mythology, he was hyper libidinous. He could not control his libido, and he apparently he hooked up with human females in large numbers, which was forbidden. That was actually strictly forbidden. That was strictly forbidden by the Anunnaki, I guess. To have intercourse with a human being was strictly forbidden. Enki could not control himself. So the original archetype for Noah, his name is, there are multiple names for the original Noah. Usudra. In Babylon, they call him Usudra or Udnapishtim. Also called Atrahasis. These are all names for the original Noah. It doesn't start in the Torah. They get this from ancient Sumer. He was his mother was human, and his father was Enki. So he was the offspring of Enki. But that's because Enki, I guess, crossbred with a human being because he could not control himself. And that's actually what Noah was. So Noah lived longer than most humans, but not as long as the Anunnaki because he was half Anunnaki. Noah being Ziusudra, or aka Utnapishtim, aka Atrahasis. And you're right, hanky panky Enki, it fits perfectly with the mythology. It fits perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, definitely describes that type of behavior, right? I mean, just a quick Google search says hanky panky is an informal, often lighthearted term used to describe questionable, secretive, or dishonest behavior. Commonly refers to either underhanded or sneaky activities or illicit, playful, romantic intimacy.
Oh yeah, so it also could apply to just any kind of underhanded activity. But yeah, that does. So Enlil wanted humans to remain as Lulu Amelu, just primitive workers, superior to other animals, but not at the level of gods. And Anu told Enlil to upgrade them. So he upgraded them, much to Enlil's wrath. And I think that was one of, if not the major reasons for the Sumerian War of the Gods. The Enki faction, the Enlil faction, and the Enlil faction 1. Things like 9/11 are actually, on an esoteric level, are based off of this conflict. And some people suggest they may be from other planets, and it's become mainstream now, regardless of what anyone may think of it.
Yeah, no kidding. The Dirty Sanchez says, "What about the hokey pokey?" Makes me think of Loki. Casey Jones. I was addicted to the hokey pokey, but I turned myself around. What a knee slapper that one is. Haven't heard that one before.
Yeah. It's interesting where some of these terms come from. The ancient mythology, you can decide, is it symbolic or is it literal? Well, it hasn't gone away. It's always been around. It's the building block of the matrix.
Yeah.
And the whole architect symbolism. Is it Enki? Is it Kotaru? Is it Vulcan? Or again, they took away the architect aspect out of Neptune and Poseidon, but that's the other one. But then they know what they're doing when they name a simulation computer company as EA Sports. That's Ea. That's Enki. He is the architect.
I don't have much else to add, I guess, to this particular presentation. I mean, I've learned a lot about, Enki, Enlil, Cthulhu. This is definitely not part of my wheelhouse. So,
so I don't
written down here.
Well, I mean, this is the foundation for secret societies, for religious. In fact, let's look up Genesis 3:22 is really important.
Mm-hmm.
This is the foundation, and scholars can dispute the how they interpret ancient Sumerian mythology. Okay, what am I misspelling here? I'm trying to talk and type, but KODI's better at this than I am. Genesis. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and spell. All right, Wow, I got it. 3:22. King James Version is good. Let's do KJV. So what happened when Anu instructed Enki to upgrade the Lulu Amelu, which he did, which angered the god. In fact, it was called Eden, Eden, in ancient Sumer. Let's see what that says. Genesis 3:22. And the Lord God, this is Enlil. The Lord God said, behold, because the ancient Sumerian texts predate the Torah. It's from the same region. This is where they got it. The Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us. So humans did reach the level of the gods. It's after they ate the apple. And what is apple used for? A symbol of the computer. Again, the architect, the simulation, the computer, the apple. EA Sports simulation. All these archetypes, this is instruct the world we live in right now. It's all based on those ancient archetypes. Everything that happens
Makes me
now.
think of the phrase "the apple of my eye." Have you ever heard that one?
Yeah, I've heard that.
I mean, it just makes me think
It also
about
could have been
I am, like God in the Bible says, I am that I am, right? So
yeah, it's also the all-seeing eye too, the single eye.
right.
There's a theory on that too. Again, a theory that the all-seeing eye is actually some ancient technology that Enlil had Kotharu, who's Vulcan, Hephaestus, had him create. It was a satellite that orbits the Earth, which has total surveillance over the human race, which is a big part of secret societies, total surveillance and the all-seeing eye. And some theorize that this actually goes back to ancient times, that Enlil created this all-seeing eye, which was total surveillance of Earth. And the Lord God said, this is after the fruit, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. So he wanted to prevent humans from eating from the tree of life, because then they'd live forever. So the whole point is don't let humans live forever if they eat from the tree of life. So you had to block them from eating from the tree of life. Do not let them live forever. Because he didn't want them to eat from the tree of knowledge, and they did. And what did he say? Man has become as one of us. This is straight out of the Sumerian original. This is a retelling translated into English from all these other languages. But originally it was in cuneiform. And it explains this story. And this is Enlil speaking. The man has become as one of us. What does that say about humans?
Yeah, no kidding. Shout out Susan. Yeah, just pointing out that very specific detail that the Apple logo has a bite taken out of it.
Exactly.
You know?
And what happened after the bite was taken out of it? In the words of the God himself, after the bite was taken, the man is become as one of us. And us is plural. Us, God. So God's not just one God. If you understand where it came from, you understand why gods are plural. That's where it came from. It didn't start with the Torah. It did not start with the Torah. It started in Sumer. That's a retelling. It's plural. And these are not real gods of creation. The real source of creation, that's not who this is. This is somebody who is a narcissist who told them, don't eat from it, you'll die. That's not a god of creation. That's an insecure narcissist who's afraid of humans, which, I mean, I think that's a positive takeaway from all of this, is why is the king of the gods so afraid of humans? What happened after they took the bite?
Right.
The man is become as one of us, according to a god. I'm just the messenger. That's not me saying it. I mean, you should take heart from that as a human being. The most powerful forces in the universe, all physical forces, because this is not actual God. most powerful and intelligent with physical, technological advancement and power is afraid of humans. Is insecure about. So what is it about humans? What is this power that they know humans have that humans don't know they have? They don't let humans know they have. Whereby by their own admission will admit that humans are at their level
now. Steve Jobs, the Book of Job. That's right. I was reading the Book of Job not too long ago.
So that's what's behind everything, literally everything. Religion, current events. 9/11 was the biggest events in the history of the human race. All based on this. Secret societies. So this is an interesting phenomenon. It's called the Black Knight satellite. I don't know if you heard about that. Since we're on
no.
this. Yeah, it's so what they're saying is there's allegedly something floating out in space that is. It looks like it was created by an intelligent source, but it's just been hovering out in space, and it's a theory. It's just a theory. It's unproven, and some people think it goes back to this. The Black Knight satellite is a popular conspiracy theory claiming an ancient extraterrestrial spacecraft is orbiting Earth. However, astronomers, space agencies, and historians have debunked this claim, identifying the famous photos associated with the myth as space debris. But it's so Black Knight satellite. It's a theory that there is some technology, and what some people theorize that it is the all-seeing eye that Enlil invented to watch Earth. In fact, the term "the Watchers," that's where that comes from. It's the Nephilim. That's who the elite of the world. They believe in their minds that the world was given to them to lord over, and these entities are the Watchers. So the whole all-seeing eye Watchers. So this Black Knight satellite theory, that's since we're on the subject of ETs, that's actually related to this. Enlil's all-seeing eye. And again, all this symbolism is, you see it everywhere. Of course, the all-seeing eye, it means many different things. It has multiple meanings, the eye. It could be the third eye, a revelation, something that enables you to see beyond what everyone else can see. It has a very positive connotation as well. It's in the Bible. Speaking of 6:22, it's Matthew 6:22. If therefore thine eye be single, the single eye. Hope this is not too far off topic. We do KJV. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single eye, the one eye, thy whole body shall be full of light. That's the one eye. And this is Jesus they're quoting. So it has multiple meanings. It could be the all-seeing eye spying on everyone. Or it could be something like this, which enables you to see past the illusion, the matrix. But isn't it interesting? 6:22 again. Like June 22nd. Alien came out. Chariots of Fire, 226.
And when's the World Cup final again? Is that June 19th?
July 19th.
July 19th. Yeah, I was going to say that seems really quick to start June 11th and then 8 days later.
Well, it's actually the longest World Cup in history. They just expanded it. It usually ends quicker.
They added more teams, right? I remember you were mentioning that.
They added more teams. Yeah, they're now 48 teams.
Yeah, that's right.
The opening rounds will take a long time. If you're not into soccer, you're going to have to deal with soccer all the time, every day, game after game after game. In the opening rounds, But once you qualify for the knockout stages, it starts to go quicker because it's single game elimination. That's when it starts.
Play.
Yeah, then it moves really quick once you reach the knockout stage. And yeah, I hope this is not off topic, but I think it is related. The single eye.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I have more to add to this. I'm going to do further decode. This is a lot of information. I don't feel it. I think I played pretty much on topic. But the basis is pretty clear. And so I have more examples of how this ancient Sumerian mythos is playing out in modern times. Enki and Enlil, the two most important Mesopotamian gods.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the Iran war. What's the focus of the world now? It's Iran. It's aliens and Iran. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Aliens and Iran. How interesting. Where's ancient Sumer, Iran? And at the same time, those are the center, two of the biggest topics in discussion now, Iran and aliens. It all has to do with this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, hopefully you made note of at least of those two other things that we kind of stumbled upon with the I already forgot the name. What did I write down here? Yeah, that 1954 UFO sighting in Florence, Italy during that soccer game. Which was such a big deal they had to stop play for however long that was. And then also just that Samsung Galaxy commercial with kind of these last dance big name soccer players. Like Wayne Rooney isn't like he hasn't been playing for a while. Right.
Yeah, he's been retired, yes.
But you got at least those two other big names having their last dance with this World Cup. And there they were in that commercial back in 2013, 2014 for the World Cup then. So
yeah,
and they're fighting aliens.
Yeah, so the World Cup will be about the GOAT. It's all about the GOAT, and he's considered the GOAT, and this is the kid. It's the GOAT and the kid, Lamine Yamal. And I showed how this alien and Lamine. There's more symbolism. I'll do it in my decode. More symbolism on here. I can talk for several hours on this. I can talk for a lot of hours.
I mean, it's kind of like LeBron James, the GOAT, playing with his kid right now.
Yeah,
right?
but the difference is this kid is already LeBron James' kid is only there because he's LeBron James' kid.
Right. Yeah.
This kid here, he's already the greatest.
Yeah, he's the real
this is
deal.
this without any doubt the greatest teenager in the history of soccer.
Mm-hmm.
What he's accomplished up to age 18, nobody else has accomplished this at that age. That's the difference. That's the main difference between LeBron's kid. But yeah, LeBron is related. Him and his kid. He's kind of a GOAT, right?
Well, I mean, speaking of LeBron, like you just mentioned 18. I mean, when LeBron came in the league at 18 at a high school, there were other, but before the college rule was rolled out, I mean, he was arguably one of the greatest at least at that age. He wasn't compared to Michael Jordan or anything like that. But, when LeBron came in the league as a kid, kind of a similar thing. I guess you can compare it from a basketball perspective, but
yeah. So
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, what Lamine Yamal has achieved is greater than what any other player in the history of soccer has achieved at that age already.
Right.
So he is the kid for now. So that's what this World Cup. It's like a passing of the torch World Cup for the world of soccer. It's the last dance for the GOATs, and then who knows? Will the kid win it? I don't know. No. But then here's the Amy Eskridge holding a GOAT. I mean, I didn't even know. I just came across this as I was looking for images to put together. She's actually holding a GOAT. This is a reference to Enki. That ancient Sumerian mythology, and you can interpret it in different ways. Look at different scholars. You don't have to agree with Sitchin. Just look at the symbolism. Everybody agrees on the symbolism. Nobody denies that the GOAT is Enki or that the snake is Enki. That's accepted. Whether it's historical or mythological and other, that's debatable, but not the symbols. They're not debatable. This is Enki. And this ties right into it. It has to do with everything. Sports, most important issues at the time. And this has to do with energy. This would replace, like, it all can create powerful weapons too. So the human race needs to evolve before it can really implement free energy. But you have these pretty psychopathic, evil entities that have power on Earth. It's not really a very democratic. It's never really been a democratic place, has it, in history? Never really had real democracy. How do you get around them? I mean, it's just a challenging place. Who knows? Maybe this is a secret war of the gods and the good guys will win. Who knows? But nonetheless, we'll go. Sumerian lore is part of even this very important world event.
Yeah, I really hadn't thought about that, the importance of the goat beyond just, greatest of all time. And, we know but just what we've talked about in the past with regards to the goat. But this is a very enlightening addition to the importance of the goat, and, keeping an eye out for that as we're on the doorstep of the World Cup. So that's really interesting. We are at that 2.5 hour mark. I know I always, put my foot in my mouth because I always think that, despite the stream we had last night going 4.5 hours, we thought this one might be a little bit shorter, but it looks like I blinked and now here we are.
No, I mean,
2.5 hours in.
Yeah, you had great additions, but I can always add to things. I can always I can have more here, but this is enough because I've already given a lot. If I give it all here, then there's no point going to my channel, right? So
yeah, so sometimes we're too generous over here. Just, Rambo sharing what he always does every week. But just a final reminder, you guys, seriously, I'm putting Rambo's link here in the chat. Patreon. Oh, hold on. Ignore that one. Patreon.com/TheTruthCodes. And yeah, let me just get the visual up here for everybody. $5 a month, you guys. Come on. If you haven't done so, give them a shot. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And that includes access to your Discord, right, Rambo? I don't want to steal your thunder. So just final outros.
Yeah. Yeah, the Codebreaker community Discord. You can join for free as well. And I'm also on Instagram.com/TheTruthCodes.
Yeah, I mean, for those that come just to even enjoy and engage with the chat every time that we're streaming, I mean, I know a lot of these folks that are in the chat. Shout out to everybody, and thank you guys all for joining tonight and all of your amazing contributions. But I know a lot of you guys are part of that Codebreaker community as well on Discord. So you'll have full access to that, full access to all of Rambo's posts, his videos. He does have that free tier as well, so it doesn't cost a thing to join that. But I promise you, you guys get everything and more for that $5 tier. And that's the only tier you got, right? Besides the free one?
No, just the 5, yeah.
Yeah, 5 for now. I've been telling Rambo he should up his price because his information, like he shares every week, is gold. So we really appreciate you, Rambo, so much, man. For those not familiar with me, AJ Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find me on YouTube and Instagram. And we'll close it out there. Thank you guys again so much for joining. We look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. And without further ado, we'll catch you guys next week.
All right, take care.
Until next time.